All right, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our small contracts project. Let's have a look at what we're going to be going over today. And today we're back inside of our Web3Py favorites module, and we're still inside the transaction section of that module. So we're going to do some light reading and leave it at that. So note, even though we still throw an error up until this point, we should still be able to see the ABI and the compilation details printout inside the terminal if you run the code and scroll up to the compilation details printout section. Now that we are sure that we have the ABI in our compilation details, we can address the issue of the transaction object throwing an error when we try to build it. Note, inside the ABI compilation details, we will see that it is a list of dictionaries, each dictionary representing a function or event in the contract. This is where we can find the constructor function that we will be using to deploy our contract. When we call a constructor function method on the favorites contract object, we are actually calling the constructor function of the contract, which is defined in the ABI compilation details. This is how we can deploy the contract using Web3.Py. Now, this is going to help us build the transaction with the constructor for us, and the error we were throwing is telling us that we have to connect to an Ethereum node before we can build. Let me get this out of the way. Before we can build the transaction. Again, we can do this by running Anvil in a separate terminal window and then running our code in another terminal window. Once we have Anvil running, we can run in our code and see that the transaction object is built successfully. At this point, our code should be compiling and running without any errors, and we should be able to see the transaction object printed in the terminal. Now, we should also be in a breakpoint where we can inspect the transaction object and see what it looks like. Now, if we copy and paste the transaction into the terminal, we should see our transaction object. Now, this is stuff that we have already done. I've already showed you ahead of time just to show you that it was working. But now that we are running over everything and going over all the details, we're going to go back into our contract. Like I said, in a few more modules, maybe the next module here, we'll be back inside our contract, going over every line visually so I can run everything and show you what it looks like when it gets compiled successfully. So stay tuned for that. But of course, I will keep you posted every step of the way. For now, it's the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.